Hello, Deep Six Wrestling fans and The Fiend. Ooh, spooky. I am your host, the glorious Robbie Rotten, and this episode of Glorious or Rotten Rewind is going to be focusing on WrestleMania 17, or the more common name, WrestleMania X7, as it's stylized. Um, and this took place on April 1st, 2001 from the Astrodome in Houston, Texas. And I definitely 100% remember watching this one live as a kid. And I remember having a really good time. And I actually remember vividly some of this stuff from then. So, you know what? I'm going to stop talking about that and we're going to jump right into it. First match of the card is the Intercontinental Championship match between champion Chris Jericho versus his challenger, William Regal, who was the commissioner at the time. And they have a good, solid back and forth match. Really good psychology. You know, Regal was a master of that kind of stuff. But nothing like super special. Jericho ends up winning with a lion salt. And it was a solid match, but nothing special. Decent way to open the card, I think. But again, a little too short, and it was never meant to be an incredible match, I don't think. So we're going to move on. Next up, we had Right to Censor, and man, I forgot how awful their theme music is. If you've never heard it, please look it up. It's truly horrendous. And this was The Good Father, Val Venus, and Bull Buchanan with Stevie Richards in their corner versus Taz and the APA with Jacqueline in their corner. And before this match, backstage, JBL cut this, or Bradshaw, before it was JBL, obviously. I'm ahead of myself. Bradshaw cut this incredible promo about all the great things that happened in the Astrodome, because it's not being used for much at this time. It used to be where the Houston Astros played, and then they obviously got a new stadium and moved on. So he was just talking about all the great things that happened in there in the past, and he was showing a lot of charisma inside the ring even too. So it was interesting to see from him. This was a pretty forgettable match though. APA and Taz win when Bradshaw connects with a clothesline from hell and pins the Good Father, and APA wins. So, feel good win for the hometown boy there, but forgettable match. It was what it was. And next up, we had the Hardcore Championship match between the champ Raven versus his challengers Kane and the Big Show. And it was weird. The bell rang before the Big Show even came out. Kane came out and started attacking Raven randomly, and the bell just rang, and then Big Show's music hit, and he came out slowly. Very awkward with that, but this was a lot of fun. The three guys brawled all over the arena, just a lot of crazy stuff going on. Raven gets thrown through a window by Kane, and he's bleeding profusely. And then there's another spot where Kane and Big Show put each other through a wall, which is crazy. Kane hits Raven with a golf cart, and that looked really nasty. And the finish comes when Kane, Big Boots, Kane, Big Boots, Big Show, and Raven off the stage. They fall through part of the stage. And then Kane hits a leg drop on them and pins Big Show and wins the Hardcore Championship. And this was so fun. Very, very fun match. Really good. Just really enjoyed it overall. One of my favorite hardcore matches I've seen to date. Absolutely a glorious for me. And starting off the great part of this card. And there's a lot of stuff to like on this card, as you'll see when we move forward. So, next up, we have the European Championship match between the champ Test versus Eddie Guerrero with Perry Saturn. And This is really solid back and forth. These guys had pretty good chemistry together, actually. And Eddie's always great. Such good psychology here, from especially from Eddie. Eddie, it was so good, and it's a shame he left us so soon. But he still did a lot of great stuff in his career. And I mean, I wouldn't say this was a great match or anything. It was really solid. Again, it was never really meant to be a fantastic match. It was never meant to be one of the top matches of the show. It did what it was supposed to do, and it worked to elevate both Eddie and Test. And it helped to elevate Test because Eddie needed all the stops to beat him here. Saturn really was an advantage for Eddie. And then eventually Malenko comes out and ends up costing Test the win when he distracts the ref, and Eddie gets a belt shot on Test and pins him for 3 and is a new European champion in a pretty solid match. Alright, and next up we had the first truly great match of the night. We had Kurt Angle versus Chris Benoit in just like a grudge match. And these two start off just trying to one-up each other with some excellent technical wrestling. These two are both masters of wrestling, and wow. They did not disappoint. This was just a really fun sprint. Eventually, Angle got frustrated when Benoit was out wrestling him, and they start brawling around the ring a little bit, and there's one point where the ref gets knocked out, and then Angle taps to the crippler crossface, but of course the ref's knocked out, so it doesn't count. And then eventually Angle rolls up Benoit with a handful of tights for the win in a sprint. Super fun match. Absolutely glorious. This could have been even more special with a few more minutes and maybe a little bit more of a story to it. But wow, this was still an excellent match. And next up we have the Women's Championship match between Ivory of Right to Censor, and again that awful, awful music, versus Chyna. And apparently the story here was that Ivory broke Chyna's neck at some point in the past. And this wasn't really a match. This was just Chyna absolutely dominating Ivory and toying with her before eventually finishing her with a gorilla press slam and pinning her to win her first Women's Championship match. And yeah, this was fine for what it was. It was never meant to be anything except Chyna's first women's title and her to get revenge. So I'm okay with it. It was short and sweet, and it worked. It didn't really show off any glaring weaknesses from Chyna either. So okay, and next up we had Vince McMahon versus Shane McMahon, with Stephanie in Vince's corner, and Mick Foley is the special guest referee. This is the time period where Vince demands a divorce from Linda and starts dating Trish Stratus, and then Linda's in like a catatonic state for some reason. I guess she's medicated or something. I don't know. I don't really remember that well. It was a little bit weird, but it led to this really fun brawl of a match. Obviously, neither of these guys is a technical wrestler at all. But man, did they both know how to entertain, and they did. They went all out here. They beat the hell out of each other. It was nuts. Eventually, Trish rolls Linda out to the ring, and she's basically forced to watch as Vince destroys Shane. And then at one point, as Vince is just destroying Shane with garbage cans, Linda stands up and low blows Vince, and then Mick, who had previously been attacked by Vince earlier in the match, gets up and also attacks Vince, and then they set him up in the corner with a garbage can to his face, and Shane hits the first ever really impressive coast to coast drop kick with the garbage can in Vince's face. I'll never forget that spot in my life. Even today when he does it, it's super impressive. It'll never cease to amaze me. And of course picks up the win in such a fun match. Man, wow. Absolutely glorious. What a card this is shaping up to be. And I knew this was going to be a great WrestleMania, and it is not not letting me down at all. It's been so fun so far, and I can't wait to share the rest with you guys. And next up, we have the WWF Tag Team Championship, TLC number 2. And this is the Dudley Boyz, who are the Tag Team Champions, of course, with Spike Dudley versus the Hardy Boys with Lita and Edge and Christian with Rhino. And wow, I didn't know how if it was possible for a ladder match to surpass the triangle ladder match, or for a tag team ladder match surpass the triangle ladder match from WrestleMania 16. But this did. This was incredible. And the funny thing is, that was much more of a car wreck than this. It's just all the crazy spots were, I think they were more intelligently done, and the story was better here. I don't know what it was exactly, but it was just that much better. And I'm going to list off all the crazy spots, because that's just the only way I can do it, because there were so many. Okay. Bubba powerbombs Jeff onto Edge through a table. Then all 6 guys climb the ladder simultaneously, and everyone falls off somehow. They're all just like kicking each other. The ladders all fall. Spike puts Christian through a table with a Dudley drop. I think that was the name of it. It was the acid drop in ECW. I never really knew what it was called in WWF, so I don't know. Rhino gores Matt through a table. The Dudleys hit a 3D on Lita, which was pretty edgy, but it was pretty cool. Jeff swanton Spike and Rhino through 2 tables on the outside from a ladder. Whew, nuts. Jeff walks on 3 ladders to try and get to the main ladder to get to the titles, but he kind of falls, and the ladder falls over, but he's able to recover and get back up and climb the ladder. And then the spot that everybody has seen, the most iconic spot in any TLC match ever. Obviously, Edge's spear, while Jeff is hanging from the titles, Edge spears him from the top of a gigantic ladder into the ring. So dangerous, but so epic. This gets replayed time and time again for all eternity, and wow, it's still stunning to this day. Rhino pushes Matt and Bubba through 4 tables on the outside off of the ladder on the inside, and all the tables break. A lot of times when you see a lot of tables set up like that, not all of them break. They all broke. Nice. And then finally, Rhino carries Christian up the ladder, who grabs the titles for the win, and Edge and Christians win yet again and are crowned the WWF Tag Team Champions. What a match. Wow. This was absolutely incredible, absolutely glorious. Better than the Triangle Ladder match somehow. And that was... I don't have words. So good, but this was better. Whew. I don't know if any WrestleMania is going to adopt this. We're going to have to see. Ooh, boy. And next up, we had the Gimmick Battle Royal, which featured the Bushwhackers, Duke the Dumpster Droese, the Iron Sheik, Earthquake, the Goon, Doink the Clown, Kamala and Kimchi, the Repo Man, Jim Cornette, Nikolai Volkov, Michael P.S. Hayes, One Man Gang, the Gobbledygooker, Tugboat, Hillbilly Jim, Brother Love, and Sergeant Slaughter. And this was the shortest battle royal I've ever seen in my life. It was like everybody was just trying to get out of there in a hurry. Final 4 is Brother Love, Sergeant Slaughter, Iron Sheik, and Hillbilly Jim. And finally, Iron Sheik wins by last eliminating Sergeant Slaughter. And, harmless fun. Getting the legends on the card. I had no issue with this whatsoever. It was quick and stupid, but it was fun. I had no issue with this whatsoever. Just get some little nostalgia out there, so why not? Okay, and next up we have The Undertaker. But he's not The Undertaker here. He's the American Badass Undertaker. So that's going to go away for the next few years. And Triple H who had Motorhead play him out to the ring, and that was awesome. Um, yeah, this was actually also the first time I remember the streak being mentioned too. So I guess they're starting to be aware of it. And these two brawl to start. They have a really good back and forth, and eventually the ref gets knocked out because it's not an ODQ match or anything, but the ref gets knocked out, and let me just tell you, the ref is out for like 10 to 15 minutes straight. So these guys just brawl all around the ring, all throughout the crowd, and they just kill each other, absolutely destroy each other. Triple H beats the hell out of Undertaker with a chair. And then eventually they end up on like a camera platform, and Undertaker choke slams Triple H off the camera platform, and it just looks like Triple H just falls into oblivion. You don't see where he lands. Eventually, you see he lands on this like platform, and it looks like it's kind of like a comfy mattress type thing. But it looked awesome still, and they just keep brawling. Triple H low blows Undertaker when he goes to use the sledgehammer. And like I said, Mike Chioda was out for like 10 minutes, legit, at least. It was ridiculous. Undertaker goes for a last ride powerbomb, and Triple H hits him with the sledgehammer as he's going to go up. And that was one of the greatest near falls of the history of the streak, I think. At least definitely the best one I've seen so far. And there have definitely been some great ones that I remember, but this is up there with them. It was really, really close, and the crowd definitely bought into it. Of course, the Undertaker is going to pick up the win with the last ride powerbomb in a fantastic match, the first great match of the streak. Diesel and Taker was a good match. This was a great match, and Undertaker's going to extend his streak to 9-0. And this is absolutely a good, really fun match. These two really went all out, and Triple H proved why he is a franchise star at this point, and Undertaker continues to prove why he's so good and one of the most beloved figures of all time. And finally, we have the main event, the WWF Championship no disqualification match between the champion The Rock and Stone Cold Steve Austin, part 2 of their epic main event WrestleMania trilogy. And the video package of this is possibly the greatest video package of all time. It just gave me goosebumps to watch it, seriously. I remember this from when I was a kid, and it really just hit me. It was set to Limp Bizkit's My Way. And, okay, I know, Limp Bizkit. I know what you're thinking. Limp Bizkit, they're terrible. Huh. This song's great. I don't care what you say. This song is fantastic. And it really works for the storyline. Wow. Just gives you goosebumps. Goosebumps. It gives you goosebumps. Go back and watch this if you haven't seen it. Just YouTube it even. It's so good. It fits so well. And just the promos they were cutting on each other. Oh my god. Woo. My heart. And what a match. They just went all out and brawled with each other. Both guys got busted open throughout the course of the match. Rock got busted open with a ring bell. Austin with the exposed turnbuckle. And man, these two went all out, and I think this has to be the best match they've had together. Chemistry does not get any better than these two in the ring, and wow. One of my favorite moments is they did a callback to WrestleMania 13 where The Rock has a bloody Austin in the sharpshooter, and Austin refuses to give up. It was just such a perfect, it just looked perfect. Such a great callback to one of the greatest matches of all time. And it's at one point, The Rock hits a stunner on Austin, and Austin kicks out at 2. And then Vince McMahon comes out. Now, nobody really knows why. He's just kind of like, he's kind of out there, and he's had bad blood with both of these guys at different points, so you don't know what he's doing. So The Rock hits a people's elbow on Austin, and Vince pulls The Rock off of Austin, revealing that he is, I guess he's going to side with Austin. And Austin's kind of reluctant about it at first, but, you know. Then Austin hits The Rock with a rock bottom. Rock kicks out. And then finally, they reveal that they're working together. Austin holds The Rock for Vince, who hits him in the head with a chair. And Austin goes for the pin, and Rock kicks out. Rock is not giving up in this match. He is showing that he's the resilient hero, and the story of this match has become that The Rock just will not quit no matter what, and it's going to take everything that this desperate Austin has to win the title. And I love this story of Austin just snapping. He's so desperate. He needs this championship that he's willing to do whatever it takes, including working with his worst enemy in Vince McMahon to win the title. That is just classic, amazing wrestling storytelling there. And eventually, after what felt like a million chair shots, Rock succumbs, and Austin picks up the win in probably the best WrestleMania main event to this point. Dare I say? I think so. What a match. Oh my God. What a story. Austin shakes Vince McMahon's hand after the bell, and they drink some beers together. And obviously that wasn't, probably the best way to end it. But it doesn't even matter. And the story they told was so good. As Austin himself will tell you, he probably should have just hit McMahon with a stunner afterwards, because it really didn't live up to the character. And also, honestly, nobody wanted to boo Austin anyway, so it was never going to work as a full heel turn, but it was still great. The moment itself of just those two, the shock was just, it worked. I think it worked. Man, absolutely glorious. Everything about this, just fantastic. And I keep saying this, but if you haven't seen this, you need to watch it. And as a whole, this WrestleMania was an absolute pleasure to watch, front to back. There was nothing that I saw and was like, oh, this is awful. The whole thing, even the stuff that wasn't great, was still pretty solid. And the stuff that was that was pretty lame was short. So whatever. Great WrestleMania. I don't know if anything's gonna pass this. This is absolutely glorious. What a WrestleMania. If you're gonna pick one WrestleMania to watch, I can't see this fully, but if you're gonna pick one, this is definitely gonna be on the short list, I think. Wow. Thank you guys so much for watching. Please subscribe to us here on YouTube. Like and comment on the videos. Go give us a follow on Twitter and a like on Facebook, both at Deep Six Wrestling. And most importantly, have a glorious day.